Can BCH really reclaim its $3,785 ATH? BCH has been through some brutal cycles, but could the next one finally take it back to its all-time high? In this video, I break down its historic data, reveal the potential bottom range, and most importantly, how high BCH could go in the next cycle and roughly when. And the numbers might surprise you. Let's get straight into it. So first, let's begin with the halving data. So in the second cycle, it took roughly 529 days for BCH to hit the cycle top. In the cycle 3, it took roughly 354 to 366 days for BCH to form a cycle top. And the last cycle, which was our recent cycle, is a bit controversial because BCH didn't make equivalent major cycle top, but post-halving in December 2024, it peaked, so we are considering that as the cycle top. In the recent cycle, it took roughly 230 to 232 days for cycle top. Now, if you notice, every cycle the number of days has gone down, so the next Bitcoin halving is in April 2028. Now, strictly based on this pattern, if we do the math, and if the contraction continues, the next cycle top for BCH should come after 100 to 150 days post-halving. So that means the next cycle top for BCH should happen roughly around July to September 2028. Now let's use another method, which is called the top to bottom range, and if the data matches, our target accuracy will rise. But before we go that, let me quickly remind you that it takes a lot of efforts and research and math while making such videos. So if you appreciate my honest work without fake Moonboy target, I would really appreciate if you guys can hit the like button and subscribe. I have also created a separate playlist for such videos, where I predicted the top for other cryptos as well. So you can also go ahead and check my playlist. So as you can see, in the second cycle, it took roughly 360 days to hit its bottom, with a 98% drop. Then it took roughly 879 days to peak in the next cycle. Then it took roughly 547 to 560 days to bottom, which a 94.6% drop from the top. Then it took roughly 508 days to peak again. Now the bottom in and top of the last cycle is controversial, because we have two peaks, so we don't know which one we should count, so we are going to leave it as it is. But so far from the peak, we have just dropped around 71 to 72%, which means there is more downfall to come in the coming time. Now obviously, since our last cycle top is controversial, we need to use the data from other altcoins' rough bottom range. Now if you watched majority of my price prediction video, you would know that majority of altcoins are going to bottom around August 2026 to October 2026. So if we use the same range for BCH, in the first cycle it took roughly 879 days. In the second cycle, it took roughly 508 days. This cycle the number should go down, but according to math, the average comes down to 693 days. So that means the next cycle top for BCH would be around June 2028 to September 2028, which also matches very close with our Bitcoin halving theory. Now the big question is, how low will it fall and how high can it pump in the next cycle? So first, let's see how low can it fall. In the second cycle, the drop was 98%. In the third cycle, the drop was 94.6%. And so far, we have dumped only 71% to 72%, which obviously means that the bottom is not in yet, because this cycle we are expecting a 90% to 93% drop based on historic data. So the peak of BCH was roughly around $689. So if we assume a 85% to 93% crash, that will take the price of BCH to $48 to $103. I know this sounds really unrealistic at the current time, but usually during cycle resets there are flash crashes. So that time there will be a quick wick to the downside. Obviously it won't last long, but that quick wick can take the price of BCH to or closer to the range mentioned in this video. Now let's try to find out how high it can pump in the next cycle. So in the second cycle, it pumped roughly 1,950%. Second cycle, it pumped roughly 718%. And if you do the math, 300% to 500% this cycle. So if we assume the bottom to be around $48 to $103, BCH top next cycle will be around $193 to $517. And that is because BCH currently has a declining trend based on historic data. So its historic data clearly says that it cannot break its all-time high in the next cycle. The best case would be $517. Obviously, this is just a rough estimate. It can slightly go over the targets you see in this video. The intention of this video is just to give you a rough idea, but let me know what you guys think in the comments section. Do you think Bitcoin Cash can break its all-time high or not? And drop your personal targets for BCH in the comment box below. I would recommend joining our VIP group, because all important information, which I don't share on public forum, is shared there, because I personally don't share my main strategies on public domain, because if everyone does the same thing, it won't work. So you can join our VIP group as just $6 and take advantage of all the important info, which I don't share on public domain. And trust me, we are very closer to the cycle reset, and you should be prepared for it if you want to make life-changing gains.